What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here, and this is Agent Carter Season 2, Episode 5, The Atomic Job. Now, this is a good episode, but it's not a big but. I don't like big buts, cannot lie. I told myself I wasn't going to make that joke, and I did, and now I feel like a moron. Anyway, no, but I like this episode. It's a good episode. It was fun. It was funny. It was intense near the end. But I feel like it could have been a bit more intense in the end. Like, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it, because I don't want to come off as sounding like, oh, I can't stand that they didn't do this and this and blah, 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 blah. Because it really was kind of what I was expecting out of this episode, and yet I kind of wanted a bit more. Like, I would not have minded seeing someone maybe be gone by the end of this episode. Which take maybe with why can't it? Wilkes, Dr. Wilkes. It kind of seems like, maybe he's being pulled away for good. But, like, they've got... You're in the whole thing. You're in the building with the atom bomb. I knew it wasn't going to blow up, because then everybody would be dead. But, like, whenever you got this woman who can grab people and absorb them, I kind of expected one of the main characters to be offed. Not, like, the main... Not, obviously... Not Peggy, I didn't think Daniel was going to be gone this episode. With everything that's going on, though, with him proposing and they're about to get married and what's going on with Peggy, I'm a little bit worried about his fiance, just a little bit. But I don't know. Like, I was expecting something more intense for the ending than just, oh yeah, she falls and she gets impaled, but the show's called Agent Carter and we're only the 5th episode in and there's 10 episodes. She's not gonna die. So, I don't know, like, especially, like, whenever she grabbed Peggy and started to absorb, I'm like, no, she's not going to. And sure enough, she, like, headbutts her and kicks her and then falls and grabs on and then falls again, lands on the spike, and I'm just like, see, if this were another character, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they killed off so-and-so. But because it's Peggy, I'm like, okay, so obviously that spike going through her is going to miss all of the vital organs, and somehow they're going to be able to remove her from the spike without causing a ton of blood loss, and she's going to be just fine. That's pretty much what happens. That's my frustration. That is why I'm kind of like, they couldn't have done anything different with that. Maybe have this doctor who came along for the ride, maybe have him be grabbed and absorbed by Whitney Frost, or maybe Rose. Like, that would have been really, like, gut-wrenching to see her gone. But no, you don't do any of that. You just kind of go through the motions and give us kind of an ending I was expecting, I guess. I kind of expected Peggy to not win the day, for her to be wounded and then come out, hurt, but still able to fight. I don't know. In that sense, I guess, I was a little disappointed. But other than that, pushing aside that for a second, it really was a good episode. I really did enjoy it. Like I said, there was a lot of good humor in this. First time, I think, in a while, at least, that I've seen Marvel do physical humor well. Like, I've seen physical humor done before, like, in Avengers, one of the best moments, Hulk and Thor done fighting, just kind of standing there, just BAM! It was hysterical. They've done physical humor like that in the past, but it hasn't been, if it has been done recently, it hasn't been done well. And then we have this opening scene where Peggy's got like that mind eraser thing, and he just wakes up. Hey, lovely lady, what are you doing? Hey, lovely lady. It was just, it was funny. I was busting a gut laughing because it was that funny. Um, and then for it all to finish with he walks out and his secretary was just like, "Did you enjoy your lunch?" He's like, "I guess I did." It was really funny. Um, man, like, it really stuck out in this episode as like one of the highlights, and that's, I guess that's kind of the thing that is a little bit, it's good but it's frustrating at the same time because we've had all of these really good, intense, kind of creepy episodes recently, and they just kind of went a little bit more comical this episode. Like they didn't really have the ending was a bit intense, but it wasn't like a, it was an intensity where you knew everything was going to turn out okay. Like it was a moment where you're just like, none of these people are about to die. You know, like when Jarvis is transporting the stuff, and you know that if he drops it, the whole block will be leveled. I'm like, but it's not going to. Like, I know it's not going to. He's not going to drop it. Things are not going to be blown up. So I guess it was just lacking in intensity there because of that. Um, so I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about this episode because I don't want to say it's an amazing episode because it could have been better, but I don't want to say it's bad either because it really wasn't. It was good. I was able to enjoy it. And this show does a good job of keeping me entertained even when the stakes aren't that high. It's just a different kind of entertainment than I guess I was expecting. So, like it or hate it, you know, it's really up to the mind of the viewer. If you were coming in expecting another intense kind of mysterious episode, you're not going to get it in this one. It's a lot of humor, a couple of shock humor moments, like whenever Peggy's like, "We can get Rose to help us," and she's like, "Really? You know, do you think she can handle herself?" And she like throws the guy up against the window, and then later on, you know, once again she's like, "Don't worry, I can handle it, Chief." And he's just like, "Really?" And she goes and there's this guy and she like slams him against the wall, pulls out a knife. I've seen bigger, and then just like starts beating the crap out of him and just like smiles creepily as she goes to attack him again. That's the type of humor in this one, and it's a lot of humor. That's what this episode is. So I'm not gonna. I don't really have an opinion on this. I enjoyed the humor, not exactly what I was expecting, but I can look past it because you know what, this show is good enough. I have no doubt that even though this one was a little bit less of the intensity, less of the action, I guarantee that it's going to bring more of that back in come near the end. So I'm not too worried about it. Now, now that I've talked about all of the humor stuff about it, I do want to talk about the two things that were not humor based. One, Whitney Frost. She is turning out to be probably one of the better Marvel villains. And I know that's not saying much because Marvel really hasn't had that many great villains. I mean, Kingpin was awesome. Kilgrave was awesome. And so most of the good villains have been in the Netflix TV shows. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have had a couple of good villains pop up every now and then. You know, Daisy's mom was a good villain. The guy that Bill Paxton played in the first season, he was an interesting kind of turncoat guy. But those two were a little bit less of a good villain than Kingpin and Kilgrave. But when you think about the Marvel movies, none of them really are like, you know, oh, that's a great villain. Loki is the only one that stands out of all of the Marvel movies. That's kind of sad. Whitney Frost is one that kind of started off interesting, and she's becoming even more interesting. First of all, she's like losing her mind to this Zero Matter stuff. I love it. I love watching her go crazy. It's fun. Whenever her husband is like questioning her, and she like grabs him by the throat. You can see in her eyes and in his, they both realize that she could have just killed him right there if she wanted to. She could have absorbed him just like she did the other guy, but she's just like, hush, and like, let's go. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're freaking me out right now, and I love it. And then on top of that, the people that she knows. At first, I thought she was just like this actress who was secretly a super genius, and then all of a sudden she's like, we're gonna use my contacts. And they go meet like this mob boss, and you know it's a mob boss because he has the henchman that he just goes, and they leave, and he's just like, yeah, he's a mob boss. You can tell. It's the hand gestures. That's all you have to do is hand gesture and not say anything, and people do your bidding. You have a lot of power. I understand. But apparently, the ex-boyfriend, it seems like, of Whitney's, because he's talking about, like, you know, how they were separated for a while before she went and got married. And he's like, it's in the past, you know, you got my wedding present. And then this guy comes up and kind of checks Whitney out, and the mob boss guy has a kingpin moment, for lack of a better word, you know, that you embarrassed me in front of her. That's kind of what he does. He starts freaking out. How dare you? This woman, she is my guest. How dare you? And it's like beating the crap out of him, like, oh my god. Like, this guy is freaky. This guy is not right in the head. And she knows him. She used to date him. What does that say about her? She's cuckoo. Anyway. But yeah, so that scene was very interesting, and that she ends up getting guys to help her with the getting the atomic bomb, the material for it. And so that was interesting. And then in the end, once again, I think the choking him part came in the end. But either way, like seeing just that whole dynamic of this guy, Calvin Chadwick, he realizes now that he's not in control. Like, this whole season started off with he thought he had the balls. He thought he was the one that wore the pants, and she manipulated him just so easily. Like, she just had to put on a few tears, or she had to put on her sweet face, and he was just like, whatever you say, dear. And that's how she now it's like he's freaked out by her. Like, he gets out of bed in the beginning and goes to like put on a coat and turns around, there she is. He's like, oh, like freaked out. I love it. It's brilliant. And especially the actor that plays him, he always plays kind of a scumbag. And so it's kind of like there was the guy in the Blacklist that was like the main bad guy. He always plays kind of a somebody who you enjoy whenever they can tell something's wrong. Like whenever things go wrong for them, it's just so fun to see their reaction. He's one of these people. Like, I don't know why, but every time he plays somebody in a movie and things go wrong for him, I'm so happy. This is no exception. It's so fun to see him freaked out by his wife, who he thought was just this little actress, who's just unassuming woman. No, she's crazy, and he's starting to realize it. The other thing to talk about, though, was all the stuff in the end, which, by the way, was a really long ending. Like, it said 10 to 11, and it didn't end until like 11:05. So it went on for a while. There are several things that are going into the next episode. One of the things that frustrates me is that they bring Peggy back after her wound and have Sousa's fiance mending him up. And then she realizes, oh, so you weren't running to get away from your job, you were running to get away from her. And now I feel like this is going to create this dumb relationship drama that whenever a show starts to focus on that a lot, I can't stand it. So maybe it'll be pushed off to the side, hopefully. But that is something that, this show kind of feels like it's trying to push Sousa and Peggy together. It certainly felt that way in the first season, and then all of a sudden this season they're not together, and Sousa's moved on. And I'm just like, wait, what? So it kind of feels like they're pushing for that again. To which I say, okay, I don't really care that much. I'd prefer to focus on the plot itself. And speaking of the plot, like I said about Wilkes earlier, he disappears at the end, and we're not really sure why. At first, I was just like, "What is this stuff like wearing off?" But then, as you start to realize by his reaction, something's going wrong. So I don't know what it is, and I'm kind of excited to see exactly what's going on because, like earlier in the episode, you saw him messing around with the zero matter, and he was able to like absorb it, and it made him tangible for a second. And then he was being called to more of it that was inside the woman who froze, and Whitney Frost got there first and absorbed it. So, I don't know what's going on with the zero matter stuff, but something's happening, and I feel like it's going to be much more involved in the next few episodes. So we'll see. But overall, enjoyed it. Might have enjoyed it better at certain points, but I can look past it. So, what did you think? Let me know down in the comments section below, and like and subscribe for more Agent Carter. And I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.